Artists, today we are going to make a clay fish. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pinch off a small piece of our clay that we're going to use for the tail fin of our fish. And the rest of our clay we're going to kind of ball up. We're going to put it on our mat and we're going to use the palm of our hand to push down and flatten that clay. This is going to be the body of our fish. And you don't want the clay to be too thick, so I'm using the strong part of my hand to push, and you don't want it to be too thin either. You want it to be kind of even, so this part right here is thinner than this part, so I should try to flatten that a little bit more. And this is going to be the shape of our fish body. I think I'm going to leave mine pretty round. If you don't want yours to be round, you can kind of pinch it and push it to make it more oval shape. On the fish body, we're going to add texture. And the way that you can add texture to clay is with any kind of a tool. If you use any tool in your basket, you can create texture. You can use the fork to create texture. You can push the coral or the shells in to create texture. You can use anything in your basket to create texture. The marker caps work well. Once you have added texture to your slab, we are going to actually add a tail fin. If your clay gets thin and if it breaks off a little bit, you can just kind of pinch it to reshape it. The piece that you tore off, we're going to ball up, and we are going to use our palm to push flat. This is going to be the tail fin on our fish. You may use any of the tools in your basket. There is a stretched out paper clip that does a nice job cutting. And I want you to think about what shape you want your tail fin to look like. There's a little bit of extra clay. We're going to save this for the eye of our fish. And I want you to think about what texture you might want the fish fin to have. I think I kind of like having stripes on my fin. The way that we attach this fin is something called score and slip, and we're actually going to use a toothbrush, and we're going to dip the toothbrush into just a little bit of the water. We don't want it to be soaking wet. And we want to scrub that toothbrush on the back of our fin, and we also want to scrub that toothbrush where we are adding our fin. And this is going to act like a glue. Then you're going to want to push that fin right onto your fish body. And if you need to go back in and make your texture again so that it stands out, you can do that. The last thing we have left is the eye for our fish. You should have a small ball of clay left. We're going to roll that clay up. We're going to flatten it out to make a circle. And you can use any of the tools. The edge of your toothbrush is nice and round, so I can actually push the edge of my toothbrush into that eye to make it look more like a pupil. We're going to put the eye right on our fish. Same thing, we're going to use our toothbrush. We are going to put that wet toothbrush on the back of the eye, on the front of the eye, and attach it by pushing down a little bit. If I need to go back in to re-put that dot in, I can. And the last thing left is we need a mouth, and you can use any tool. You can use a popsicle stick, you can edge the fork, and we're just going to make an indentation in our clay. And that's going to create the mouth of our fish. When this is done, we need to know whose fish it belongs to. So we need to make sure on the back we can either write our initials or our name on the back of the clay. We don't want to push too hard, so my initials are S, D, and I would also want to add my class code to the back. This is going to go on the drying rack, And when it's all dry, it's going to go in the kiln to be fired. And then we will add some color to these before you take them home.